For some reason that I cannot fathom, Tucker Carlson invited Candace Owens to analyze and interpret the three guilty verdicts for former police officer Derek Chauvin, who, of course, killed George Floyd last year. Yesterday, we covered live those three guilty verdicts. And what's funny about this is that Candace Owens has no idea about anything. It's not clear to me why she comments about anything, never mind jury trials. Owens has become sort of a conservative darling in some circles as a, I guess, former liberal who found conservatism. And of course, being a black woman, even though the right is against identity politics, being a black woman gives her a particularly useful identity to the American right wing. But watching her melt down and just grasp at straws is both entertaining, but it's also a reminder that tons of people will see this. They will see what Candace Owens, what you are about to see from Candace Owens. And because they are unable to think for themselves, they will accept it hook, line, and sinker. And that's a very dangerous reality. Let's take a look at the first clip.
Candace Owens, you'd think in a country like ours, very top, I mean, this is the most first world country that's ever been. You'd think the most civilized and the most just. Here you have to consider a murder case through the lens of politics. When you get to that point, haven't you already given up civilization?
Well, that's correct. And what we're really seeing is mob justice. And that's really what happened with this entire trial. This was not a trial about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin. This was a trial about whether the media was powerful enough to create a simulation and decide upon a narrative absent any facts.
It's almost like she didn't watch the trial where fact after medical fact and documentary evidence were introduced. Mob justice. What is she talking about? And she gets even more divorced from reality the longer she's allowed to keep speaking and answering the same question.
Whether it was powerful enough to repeat showing and talking about a 9-minute clip that came from somebody's cell phone without adding any context, without showing the full, the full police video, which they could have released. They refused to release the full body cam, which would have added more clarity.
Now, this is sort of slippery. She throws in that the video of George Floyd being killed is from a cell phone. So what? What difference does it make that it's from a cell phone rather than CCTV footage, rather than 4K or whatever? And then she gish gallops right into the body cam footage wasn't even revealed. The absence of body cam footage doesn't change this from a guilty verdict into a not guilty verdict. It's possible that if the body cam footage was released, it might have shown something different. Or it might have shown the same thing, probably the same thing based on the sort of clear-cut nature of the video we do have. But the absence of a video doesn't actually make the verdict wrong, and it doesn't make it mob justice. And more importantly, with how frequently body cam footage is, quote, lost or unavailable due to technical problems, if there were no cell phone video, for all we know, there'd be no video at all, and we'd have zero accountability. It is rare that you actually have such an incident where there are witnesses and video when you are talking about the death of someone. Understand that, the vast majority of homicides, there's just no video and cases don't have the documentary evidence that we had here. Okay, let's watch one more clip.
To the fact that the media was lying. The media came out. Let's not forget this, Tucker. The media came out and told us that this was a man who was just getting his life together. He was a good member of society, and he got mixed up because a racist white police officer had it out for him and killed him. All of that fell apart.
Those actually are not statements that really have anything to do with the trial. You had jury selection. Derek Chauvin's attorney had every opportunity to strike jurors, potential jurors, if he felt that they had prejudged the case, that they already believed that Derek Chauvin was guilty or whatever. There was a fair jury selection process. Floyd turning his life around or not is not actually relevant to the case. She is completely off the rails. Let's actually watch a little bit more here.
All of the facts came out and all of that fell apart. We now know, of course, that he had enough fentanyl in him. It was 3 times the lethal dosage, 3 times lethal dosage in him when he died. But nobody cares.
Doctors testified very specifically during the trial. George Floyd did not die of a fentanyl overdose. This is trash. It is nonsense. But people are already repeating this stuff on Twitter and elsewhere. One more clip.
because the media was successful in putting out a narrative, and they kept hitting that narrative. And the reason why the Democrats are happy is because they realize, of course, the media supports them, and now means the Democrats can get whatever they want because they can create a narrative, and then they can treat people like pawns and get them to basically say, if we don't get what we want, we will riot, we will loot, we will send these people out like soldiers to destroy your neighborhoods. And that is exactly what has happened. That has been the determination of this trial. The media and the Democrats now have enough power to bully and to lie to and to create propaganda and to successfully win. And that is what happened. And they are celebrating that win today. This was not a fair trial.
Only one side.
No person can say this was a fair trial.
She's just completely out of control. And who is she to say if the trial was fair? There was jury selection, and both sides had a chance to weigh in on jurors. They accepted the slate of jurors. The judge is there. They will get a chance to appeal if they want. But she just decided that this is not a fair trial. It's actually a tragedy that Candace Owens is interviewed as some kind of expert, I guess, on what? I don't know. Democrats are happy. This is the sort of Don Jr. liberals want people to die of COVID to hurt Trump thing. No one's happy about this. I don't take joy at people going to prison. I'm against imprisoning people as a sort of general principle. It's horrifying that this trial even had to take place. I would rather Derek Chauvin be a good police officer and George Floyd be alive. But George Floyd is not alive, and accountability is necessary. But what I do enjoy is the right wing melting down over this verdict. And we're going to look at some more examples momentarily. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver. And here's how it works. It takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft, and it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.